I'm Lady Charmaine, and my newest cast member. She's here today of the Lifetime hit reality show Preacher's Daughters, and she's here today to talk about season 3. I want you to help me welcome Miss Kristiana Flowers. Hey, Kristiana, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, congratulations on being one of the newest cast members of one of my favorite shows, Preacher's Daughters. And before we go on, I just want the audience to get to know a little bit about you. So can you let us know where you're from? Because I believe you're from Chicago, Illinois, but maybe the audience members don't know that. Just so tell us a little bit where you're from.
Actually, that's Sierra. Sierra's from Chicago. I'm Kristiana, and I'm from Detroit, Michigan, actually.
So since you're from Detroit, Michigan, what was it like for you growing up as a preacher's daughter?
Actually, my life is a little bit different than all the other girls growing up as preacher's daughters because my dad wasn't really so super strict, actually. He actually allowed me to be, a normal young girl growing up. I did go to private schools. When I got into high school, I actually went to a public school. But other than that, I was able to go out with my friends. I was able to hang out, go to the movies, go shopping, even go to a few parties. He allowed me to have that, opportunity to grow up like a normal child.
So what made you even decide to audition for the show? What did you think you would even bring to the show with your story and your background?
Which that's the thing. I watched the other episodes in the other seasons, and I noticed that a lot of the girls had similarities with me, but I also noticed that my certain story and my situation was never touched on. So I thought by me auditioning for the show and me actually being on the show, I'd be able to bring a new aspect and a new, thought process and a new life, to Preacher's Daughters as well.
Okay. Yeah, because your story is definitely very different if people haven't seen the first two. If you haven't seen the first two episodes, as we know, because on the show, you did admit to basically having an attraction to women, being a lesbian. So what has the reaction been since you did bring that out? Did your family and your congregation know that about you before you mentioned that on the show?
Well, one thing that I can say is I think that was a real big confusion between if I'm like a lesbian or bisexual. My thing is that I just like what I like. I don't really see gender. I see personality, and that's what I'm attracted to, as well as intelligence. I love that. You know what I'm saying? But, my family, they knew prior to me coming onto the show. I had talked to my parents about this maybe like a year or two before this, so they've known, but we told my entire family before me going on the show. So it wouldn't be a huge, big surprise, watching the show and be, oh my gosh, who knew, you know what I'm saying? So we wanted to keep the surprise factor down with my family, so we told everyone before I went on.
Now, you made something that made me want to ask you another question. You say that you don't see gender. Now, when you're born on your birth certificate, it's going to say a male or a female. So how do you not see gender? Although you may like what you like, but male and female, those are genders that you just can't ignore because there is a male and there's a female, although you may not label yourself, as a bisexual or lesbian. So why do you even make that statement? I'm curious.
Yeah, I tend to do that because I have been with guys as well as I have been with girls. And when it comes down to it, it's always, I wouldn't call one or the other because I'm more comfortable with girls, I can say. But I would never say that if a guy was just absolutely amazing and treated me so well that I wouldn't be with him either. Because I've been treated very poorly with guys, and I think that's where I feel comfortable with girls. But if a guy was just absolutely amazing and he just, took me by surprise, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't be with him. So that's why I say that.
Okay. Because I know you mentioned something very personal on the show that happened to you growing up. Did that have any effect on who you liked growing up? Because you say you've been treated very poorly by men. Did that have any effect on it?
And that's a question I get asked a lot. And it's really hard to answer because it happened at such a young age. So I don't think I could say yes or no if that had something to do with it. I know because I don't personally think it had anything to do with it because my first choice and who I was, being with growing up were guys, So I feel that if that was the case, then I would have never, been with guys. But that wasn't the case. I just found myself attracted to girls as well when I got into high school. It was just I saw the girl and I was attracted. So that's when I kind of, I don't think necessarily that what happened to me as a young child affected my sexuality now.
Okay. So what has the experience been like since being on the show? Because we know the first 2 seasons are very different from the third season. Were you expecting the third season to be like the first, telling stories about you and your family, you going out, but all of a sudden now you're on a missions trip in a house with new young ladies and experiencing different things while you're in Cabo San Lucas? What was your thought process like when you were auditioning for the show and you made the show? Did you know you were going on a missions trip?
Well, when I first sent in my story to be considered for the show, I did not know it was going to be in a complete different direction. I thought they were just going to follow me around, my hometown, and I thought that would have been a cool idea. When I found out about the mission trip, I was actually very excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so cool. Like, I was excited to go out there. Did not, really realize all the hard work, that was going to come with it. But the first thing you're thinking is Mexico. That's crazy. And we're going to, do mission work there too. I've never, really participated in true mission work outside of the country. So this is an awesome opportunity. And I was so excited.
So what do you want the viewing audience to take away from watching this season of Preacher's Daughters?
I want them to see the transformation and all of us there. We all came with different problems, different stories, different struggles, and I want them to see God working on us while we're there. Yes, at first everyone's like, oh, you guys doing your partying and doing this and doing that, and it's negative, negative, negative. But we did a lot of positive things. We've had a lot of positive talks that you guys will see when it comes to people who don't believe in God or people who, stayed away from the church or, everyone's problems that they were going through. We all sat down and had real true talks. And I believe every girl transformed and became a better woman leading the trip. And I think I want, people to see that, the transformation and the transformation that God had over us while we were there and how we became, a sisterhood. I think that's very important, in the show.
Well, I think you answered that very well because as I was talking to another young lady from the show, because everyone goes through things. And the one thing is when you are a preacher's daughter, the spotlight is on you, regardless, before you ever make it to TV, just like how if you're born into a celebrity's family, their children automatically have a spotlight on them. And I believe it's the same for preacher's daughters as well. And to be able to grow up and just become a young lady, which how your dad allowed you, just to go out and just have experiences without really having that major spotlight on you. So we're going to see all of you go through different things. And as people view this show, view it with an open mind. Don't just view it because, oh, that's a preacher's daughter. Those are young women who are coming into their own and they have to make their own decisions. And it's time for them not to ride on their parents' salvation. They're developing their own in their own relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ.
Exactly. That's exactly it. You actually understand. So many people don't because so many people don't. I've even gotten people my age like, well, you are a preacher's daughter. I'm like, well, aren't you 18 too? Don't you want to go out too? Don't you want to experience? Yeah, but I'm like, well, I couldn't help who I was born, what family I was born into. That was not my choice, but I have to develop that relationship with God on my own. I can't get into heaven by my parents' salvation or by, by their beliefs. I have to get in there by my own. I need to experience God on my own, on my own rate as well. So thank you for understanding. You actually are back.
and I think what makes me different from most radio hosts is because my husband and I were senior pastors, so I get it. Most people don't.
Yeah,
we have daughters, so we know. They have to have their own relationship, so I totally get it. And so watching this show, I watch it with a different eye than I'm sure a lot of other people probably would. So again, thank you so much for making it on the show. And remind the viewing audience to make sure that you tune in Friday nights to Lifetime to check out Preacher's Daughters, and you'll also see Kristiana and all the other castmates. Again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
And thank you so much for having me. It was lovely talking to you.
You're welcome, and have a blessed day too. Bye-bye.
You as well. Bye-bye.